21 after 5 CAT right here on the upside with Poppy and Ntsako. To catch you up real quick, yesterday we had a conversation on the show regarding cohabitation versus marriage. So we were chatting to therapists and people who have a little bit of expert knowledge on it yesterday. So we thought this afternoon on the upside we'd balance that with a little bit of legalese. And joining us now to chat about, the legal implications of cohabitating versus marriage in 2026. Shando Theron is a divorce lawyer from Theron Inc right here in Johannesburg, South Africa. Welcome to the show, Shando Theron.
Hey, how's everyone doing? And welcome to the Cameroonian. Congratulations to the Cameroonian ladies.
Ooh.
But I still believe South Africa has got girls to beat girls who can beat anyone in the world.
This is true. Shando, I don't know if you heard me in my preamble chatting about how we had therapists on the show yesterday, and now we're trying to get the legal angle of everything because I think it's important to understand what it all looks like from a legal perspective. From a South African perspective, how are you protected if you do live with someone for 20 years, you share bills, you share life with them, but there's nothing in paper or written down in concrete? How do you protect yourself in that instance?
Well, firstly, if I can just take a step back. Until not too long ago, if you wanted the benefits of marriage, you had to get married.
Yeah.
And one of the benefits is a reciprocal duty of support, that while you're married, your spouse has a maintenance obligation towards you. Now, there was a while ago, and this was a long time ago, when it mattered whether your children were born in and out of wedlock. Fortunately, that's now changed. If you were there when your children were made, then whether you're married or not is irrelevant. You have a duty of support towards them. But where the place where it hurt a little bit is where people were in long-standing cohabitation agreements. Well, they weren't in cohabitation. They didn't have an agreement. And I'll tell you how to protect yourself just now. But what we've seen is that the law is more and more, and the law should be conservative to change, but the law is more and more starting to recognize or giving certain legal effect to what we colloquially call common law marriages. And there's a lot of international jurisdictions that give some legal implication to common law marriages. Now, common law marriage is a marriage where you're married for all intents and purposes, but for the marriage certificate. You have 3 or 4 years together. You've got children together. The bond is in both your names, etc., etc., etc. Those kind of things. And then when people split up, the law has realized that it needs to look after the vulnerable parties. And there was a court case now in March of this year where yet again, the law took a small step again, our law, South African law, into recognizing, just a small recognition as far as cohabitation, especially long-standing cohabitation, where people, for all intents and purposes, were treated as husband and wife. They had children together. They had a reciprocal duty of support. And here the court granted an interim maintenance order because the husband had left for Tanzania and he then stopped paying. And the court made an interim order until the matter is finalized that this person, which is the woman, who's been living here, they've been here for 29 years, or they had a 29-year relationship and 2 children, that she has an interim right to maintenance until the matter is finalized. Now, that's sort of the basis of it. Now, if you want to know how to protect yourself, because many people today are preferring to cohabit rather than to get married for whatever their reasons are. But if you want to protect yourself, what you need to do is you need to go see a specialist matrimonial attorney. You need to draw up a cohabitation agreement, which almost looks like an antenuptial contract, and you need to have it notarized. So that the person can't later on say, oh, we were only dating, which is the common defense. We were never really married.
Shando, as someone who's been married before and has gone through that entire process, that actually sounds worse than registering your marriage. What are some of the common reasons why people find themselves wanting to go the legal route of cohabiting, which for me sounds very fancy for marriage? And also, who loses in this arrangement?
If you do it properly, no one loses and only the vulnerable are protected. If you draw up a cohabitation agreement and you say, listen, we're not saying we're not going to get married, but we are buying property together. We are probably going to have children together. And maybe someday we'll get married. But for now, it's an exclusive relationship. I take the responsibility upon myself to look after this person. I put them on my medical aid as a dependent. They take to make a contribution towards household expenses or when I'm going without to look after me. Um, and why would they, and you register it and you have it notarized, why would they rather do that than get married? That's not a legal question, but I wonder about it myself sometimes. But if you look at, there's a multitude of factors involved. Uh, Firstly, if you look at Europe's population is actually dwindling because people aren't having children. And I think a lot of reason for people getting married was the fact that children are born out of a marriage and we can look after it. Guess what? The average age in Europe is 45. The average age in Africa is 19. Europe's got an aging population and they don't have enough young people to look after the old people. So you can see there's a whole social shift in what marriage used to mean and what it means now. And I think most people come from broken homes. So you've seen how ugly a divorce can be. Well, to get divorced, you have to get married, right? What's the number one cause of divorce? Marriage. So yeah, old legal joke. So I think the fact that people may or may not, or are still deciding whether they have children or not, that they come from a broken home where they saw how devastating the divorce was and how hateful it turned. Sure, all those I think play a role, and also people being, how can I say, wanting to move around, wanting to live in other countries.
Sure.
And if your partner now says, well, I don't want to move to New York just because you got a great job offer, then it's not a whole big hoo-ha. Yeah, it's a heartbreak, but you don't have to go through a whole divorce.
That was going to be one of my questions, Shando, is why you think with the work that you do, what are people saying to you in terms of the research that you do? Why is it that they're opting to cohabitate versus marriage?
I think it's got a lot to do with the financial emancipation of women. That previously, for a woman to be provided for, she had to be married to a man, and she stayed home and looked after the children. Well, now I don't feel like having kids. For the next 15 years, I feel like climbing the corporate ladder. I've got my own money. Why can't I move when I want to move? So it's got to do, I think the big thing has got to do with the financial emancipation of women. The fact that you don't need marriage to be provided for because you've got your own money. And the fact if you get a job offer that's really great for you, and it's in New York or Hong Kong, well, you don't have to consider divorce to actually take it.
Oh, I love what you're saying, Shando. You're giving me all the freedom that I need in my life right now. It's Shando Theron, our divorce lawyer this afternoon from Theron Inc in Johannesburg. We're going to continue the conversation because there's still so many questions we want to ask Shando, so you can keep it locked at Channel Africa 1 is where the conversation is going to continue. But for now, let's get into our final sports wrap with Zycon.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.